All right, and we're back to Python Institute. This time we're on lab number 3.1.2.3, Essentials of the While Loop. If we look through the objectives here, it talks about our goals are to learn how to use the while loop and reflect real life situations. I'm not quite sure about how real life this is, but it's taking a verbal description and making a program for it. So the scenario, a junior magician has picked a secret number. He has hidden it in a variable named secret number. Great naming scheme there. That's awesome. He wants everyone who runs his program to play Guess the Secret Number game and guess what number he has picked for them. Those who don't guess the number will be stuck in an endless loop forever because magicians just want to do that for some reason. Unfortunately, he does not know how to complete the code. Therefore, your task is to help the magician complete the code in the editor in such a way that the code will ask the user to enter an integer number. Use a while loop and then check whether the number entered is the same as the number picked by the magician. If the number chosen by the user is different than the magician's secret number, the user should see the message, "Haha, you're stuck in my loop," and be prompted to enter the number again. If the number entered by the user matches the number picked by the magician, the user should see the printed on the screen, and the magician should allow the following words, "Well done, Muggle, you are free now." So the magician is counting on you. Some extra info. Look at how the print function. The way we're using it here, we call multi-line printing. And you can see right here, we're actually doing 3 quotes at the beginning and at the end of there, and that allows for multi-line printing so that all of this prints as one big chunk. In fact, if you run this as is, you will see that what's up here gets printed down here exactly the same way. Multi-line printing. It's kind of interesting, pretty fun. All right, well, let's work through this right here. First off, this may be your first introduction into a while loop. Hopefully you've read the pages before this lab, and this isn't your first introduction to a while loop, but it may still be your first introduction. So let's talk about a while loop and how we will use that in this script. So a while loop, basically we have a loop. Okay, so we kind of start up here and then we keep going and we go in a circle. Think of a dog who's trying to catch its tail. It is stuck in a loop. And basically the dog says, "Have I gotten my tail? Have I gotten my tail?" And so there's a check at one point. Do I have my tail? And as long as that doesn't match what he's looking for, the dog is going to keep spinning around in circles looking for its tail. And that's essentially what a while loop is it keeps going around and around in this loop, in this circle, until something here, as long as something here is true. Now, in this case, I actually wrote that backwards in the case of a dog. A dog doesn't have its tail. Therefore, it keeps working around in circles. So in our case, what we want is for when the user hasn't typed in the right password or hasn't typed in the right guess. So that's a while loop, and it's really cool because it just keeps working in circles and circles and circles, and we don't have to build any of that extra, how many times do I want to keep going through here? Basically, we start off with a bunch of lines, and up here is a while statement, and then when it gets to this very last line down here, it automatically goes all the way back up to the top of the while statement. It's awesome. Okay, well, let's talk about how we're actually going to implement this in this script. So if I was to start writing out this script as far as a flowchart, we start off with getting a number. So get number, we'll just call it that. In fact, to make it really, really short, I'll just do get $sign or $sign to signify a number. So from the get number, we then go down to a question of, is this the secret number? secret number, and that will, oh wow, that is horrible. There we go. Secret number and a question mark. If it's a yes, then we go out to the end. And it's just that simple. If it's a no, then it should come back up here and go right back up to the get number. Now this is oversimplified. We're not actually just saying, hey, print something out here, print something out there. We're just being very, very overly simplified with our messages here. But that's the general idea of how I want this to work. Now, there's a problem with this scenario, however, in the fact that for a while loop to work, I need this guessing or this getting of a number to be somewhere in the while loop. And so I have to be a little bit more particular about how I'm laying this out. For instance, well, let's start this over again. Let's start off with a while. Let's see, how would I describe a while loop? Well, I'll just draw a big box. So let's do a while, and let's say guess is not equal to secret number. Guess is not equal to, and I'll just do SN for secret number. And we'll just do a big box here. So this is a while loop, and basically we'll go down, and then eventually we'll come back in. So while we're just going to worry about the loop part right here. So while the end user's guess is not the same as the secret number, then we want to do two things. First off, we want to print our message. So we want to print a message saying, hi, you're stuck in a loop. And then we want it to get number. So once it prints its message saying, hey, you're stuck in a loop, we then want it to prompt for another number, and then we want it to come back up and go back into our while loop so that it will be constantly stuck forever and ever. And there will be an escape over here as far as the while, if it actually does guess it, and that will be the, you're free. So the free message will be right there. And then obviously end. So that's kind of the basic flowchart of how I would start working with this. However, we run into one small problem, and that is if the program starts coming in this way, it begins to evaluate this while statement, and it says, okay, is guess equal to my secret number? Well, I already have my secret number. We're saying we already know what that is. But at this point, I don't have a guess. I don't know what guess is supposed to be. Therefore, when I hit this evaluation statement, guess doesn't exist. And if you remember from our prior examples working with Python, if a variable doesn't exist, it gives me an error code. So I can't go straight into this this while statement. I can't just immediately start doing this evaluation. I have to somehow get a guess out of the end user first. Not only will that break the while statement, but then it would also print out this message and saying, hey, you gave me the wrong number. Yet from the end user's point of view, I haven't really given a number yet. So what we need to do is we need to somehow get a guess before we even get into this while statement. And that's kind of how we're going to have to do this. What we're going to do is just put in another block up here that's going to be the get number. And we're going to go and we're going to get a number from the end user, and then we're going to start comparing whether it's equal to the secret number or not, and then get into our loop right there. This is duplicated with this. And I hate the idea of duplicating code. I especially hate the idea of the fact that we're going to have to write the code twice, the exact same code twice. But as far as Python's concerned, at this point, that's probably the best way to do it. So let's see what we can do as far as this. So we've already got our secret number here, and we've already got our introduction saying, hey, you're stuck in my game. And so now we need to start off by just getting that guess. And so I'll call it guess. So I'll just create a variable called yes, and we want to get input from the end user. And let's see, what does he say? What is the secret number? So maybe, what is your guess? So we'll prompt out to the end user, what is your guess? Wait, I'm missing something. This needs to be an integer, right? Yes, so it needs to be an integer. It says that in here somewhere. There we go, integer number. I couldn't see it for the forest, for the trees. Okay, so since it needs to be an integer number, then that means I need to make sure that this is captured as an integer. So I need to put in int around the input. So I'll get an input from the end user. By the way, by default, when I type in an input here, it's going to try to capture that as a string. So by putting this int in front of it, that will make it convert it into an integer itself. All right, so now that I have my initial guess, now I can start my while loop. And while statements are just like if-then statements. Basically, I have a while command there, or keyword, and then I have something that should evaluate to true. So while something is true, just like when in the real world, while the lights are on, when I was a kid, while the street lights are off. There you go. So as long as the street lights are off, I can be out playing. As soon as those street lights turned on, I have to be in the house. So while the street lights are off, go ahead and play. Same thing here, as long as something is true. So while my guess does not equal the secret number. And I'm not sure why. That's supposed to be an underscore up there. That is an underscore. It just is not showing very well. There we go. It's just my weird zooming. Okay. So while guess does not equal secret number, then, and now we're indented, so everything that we type in the indentation will be done in the loop over and over and over. So now we want to send out a message because they guessed incorrectly. So print, what is it? Ha ha, you're stuck in my loop. You're stuck in my loop! Exclamation mark. And now we need a new guess. Now we need to tell the end user to guess again. So pretty much I'm just going to retype this right here. In fact, I'm not going to type that. I'm going to copy that. Just Control C. I'm going to come down here and Control V with my keyboard. I'm just that lazy. I don't want to retype it again. Actually, it's a little bit more than laziness. Knowing me, I would probably like capitalize this G right here for some reason. And then people would be like, why is guess different? Why'd you type it differently? So by copy paste, then that means everything is good. All right, so we're almost there. So we've got our initial guess. We now have our loop. Oops. And as long as the guess doesn't equal the secret number, it's going to keep going in this loop. It's going to go down here, and then it's going to go back up. So over and over and over, it's going to keep prompting the user for the number. And seeing as it's number 777, that number of guesses could be quite a lot. So what we need now is we need this final stage right here of you're free now. Okay, you guessed the right number. Well, let's walk through this process here and see exactly what happens. Let's say we start off right here and we guess the number 1. Well, it's going to go into line number 14. It's going to say 1 does not equal 777. Therefore, I'm going to print out, hi, you're stuck in my loop, and then guess again. Okay, well, now maybe I guessed the number 2. Well, again, it comes back up to line number 15, and it says 2 does not equal 777. So 2 is not equal to 777. That's true. So we will then print out, hi, you're stuck in my loop, and prompt again for another. another number. Well, let's say we've done this 777 times, and now we finally have come up with our guess right here of 777. Well, we come up to line number 15 and it says, oh, that is no longer true. Guess is no longer not equal to 777. Because guess is equal to 777. Therefore, we aren't going to go through these loops here. We're going to ignore these lines and we're going to exit out of this while loop. What that means is it comes down here to line number 18, which we haven't written, and we'll then print out or do whatever commands we type on those lines. Well, we know that we want to do this command at the very end. We want to do one more print statement that says congratulations, and pretty much the only way you can get to there is if you escape through this loop and you guess the correct number. So that means that we can just simply put a new line right there on line 18 that just says print. And as long as it's not indented, it will only run when you have successfully made it through that while loop. So for the very last step, I go to line 18. I'm going to hit backspace to go to the beginning of the line. So now I'm out of the loop. And now I can just use my print statement. Well done, Muggle. You are free now. And then that's the end of my program. Yeah. You only reach line 18 if you have actually guessed the secret number. Therefore, that is the final, hey, you're free to go message. Let's give it a shot. So we go ahead and we kick this off, and it should give me the welcome to my game. There you go. And what's your guess? And we'll start off with 1. It says, ha, you're stuck in my loop. 2, ha, you're stuck in my loop. 3, and so on and so on. And it will keep going. Maybe it will keep going until we reach 777. At which point it says, well done, you are free now, and then it exits out of the script. So there you go. There you go. That's the idea of a while loop. This while loop may have been a little bit more difficult than some others. Other common processes for a while loop might be while there's people in a list. So while I have a list of people, and as long as there's people to continue working on in that list, keep going through the list. Think of like maybe a barista is working at a coffee stand, and as long as there are people waiting for coffee, then the barista has to make coffee, has orders to make. That's normally the kind of idea for a while loop. In this case, we're just kind of waiting for some sort of correct input, and that may be waiting until somebody hits the enter key on your keyboard, or waiting until a light turns on, or something along those lines. These while loops are extremely common.